Hello, everybody. My name is Neha Singh. I am the CEO of PACE, which is a change management and digital adoption coaching firm. PACE stands for Partners in Achieving Change Excellence. And part of our goals is to help as many organizations as possible achieve success. And our webinar series is designed exactly for that. We do, we like to deliver practical solutions, and not every organization can necessarily afford to send people on training or what have you. So we try to put things in little packages and demonstrate value to you guys. Here's just some small sampling of companies that we've trained or worked with in our lean practice. And we work with companies from mining companies as well as human services organizations. So we work in a multitude of different sectors. So I'm actually going to skip out the what's your experience with lean question, because we're going to use the term lean and as we go through, and just to give you a quick idea of what it actually means. It's an approach to systematically eliminating waste. So to put it really simply, if you have 6 steps to doing a process, what we do is, there's time and money, so there's people and time spent on each step of the process. What we help you do is we help you eliminate steps into doing whatever you're already doing. So we're actually leaning out the process. We're not leaning out people or anything else. We're just leaning out the process. So you can use your people to do more with the same amount of effort that you have. So it's just basically doing more with the same is what lean boils down to at the end of the day. Yeah, someone just mentioned I don't have my webcam on. I really don't want to have my webcam on right now because I'm struggling and battling a cold and I'm not feeling the best. So I didn't turn my webcam on. Where else? All right. So one of our biggest goals is to make sure that you guys get a return on investment on anything that you invest with us. So this time that you're spending with us, we're going to be teaching you a tool that's specifically going to help you to execute projects. This tool has been known to execute projects on a consistent basis. The lean training that we provide also demonstrates a very clear return on investment on in the human services side, which a lot of you people are from. So we don't just throw you in a room and say, yay, you got training, and we send you back to your workplace. We actually set you up with coaching as part of the whole training piece, and it's shown to give you a 5 times return on your investment in the human services sector, which we have data for, and in the mining manufacturing sector, we don't even put our numbers there because the savings are pretty well unlimited, right? So you can save $500,000 in 6 months for a $5,000 training package. So we just don't advertise the numbers, just about 20 times or so. We have a training coming up May 9th and 10th in Sudbury, in case you wanted to register. And the topic of today's webinar is the pull planning system. So pull, P-U-L-L, is a very well-known concept in the lean world. And pull is very much about the customer pulling, based on the customer requirements, giving people what they need. So if you go to a grocery store and I don't know if we have can dispensers. Yeah, I've seen the can dispensers in the soup aisle. So if you take a can out of the can dispenser in the soup aisle and the other can just falls into place, you've just pulled. So you've pulled something out to tell the can dispenser, yeah, you need to drop something else in there. So the pull concept is very much about a customer pulling your requirements. So you're not creating more than you need to create. The customer dictates what you want to do. In the hospital / healthcare sector, the pull system, what the pull system does for you, a really interesting case study on how pull works in the health sector is In the US, spots for surgeries, like total knee replacements or hip replacement surgeries, only open up when there's room at the rehab facilities. So it's kind of crazy, I know, but it's not when you think about it, because if someone gets surgery and they get to rehabilitate, in a more quicker manner, they're more likely to stay healthier and recover faster. So they don't actually schedule surgeries just to schedule surgeries. They actually schedule surgeries based on how much room there is in the rehab facilities. That's another example of a pull system in the healthcare setting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over some of what's required to do a pull planning session, and the intent of this presentation is to walk through the different aspects of the pull planning system. Before I get into this, I wanted to talk about why do pull planning in the first place, and it's really related to projects, right? So I just want to define a term before I use it. So what is a project? It's a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So it's temporary in nature. Typically, you haven't done it before, and it has defined beginning and an end in time, and therefore a defined scope and resources. So it has a very specific beginning and specific end, and the definition is taken directly from the PMI project management website. So I'll just put the question out there to you guys. My first audience engagement question is, let me just see. Oh yeah, so in the question window, I don't know if you see the question window on your right-hand side, why don't you type in an example of a project that might be taking place in your facility or organization right now. So in the window, just write in an example of a type of project that might be taking place in your hospital, in your treatment center, in your manufacturing facility. I know there's a large variety of people here in the room, so just looking to get some feedback from you guys. So centralized access restructure project. That's one of the projects someone is working on here, Ty Lee. Facility move, absolutely. Excuse me. Accreditation, of course. Accreditation can be a huge beast. It is definitely temporary, has a very clear scope, very clear beginning and end. Let's see if we can get a couple more out of you guys. Well, thank you so much for being an engaged audience. It's always more fun as a presenter if you guys are more engaged and sort of giving me some ideas, because I promise you this method that I'm showing you right now is going to make your project way more successful and way more. New program implementation, yeah, I'll take that. That's a good one. Way more easy to go. Okay, sounds good. And so the next question I have is a poll question to you guys, and I'm going to launch the poll. So have you ever had to work on a project, and if so, what was your role on the project? So just looking to get a poll question answered. So mostly participants in the room. So 75% of you have had to work as a participant. Oh, 60% now as a participant, and 40% as a manager or the project manager. So I'm gonna close the poll. I'm gonna share the results with you guys right now. So those are the results of the poll. Is 60% of you, so there's no one in the room that do not participate in projects. Well, that's good news for me, because this whole tool that I'm going to be introducing you guys to is very much about project, a methodology around how to design an effective project and really get the maximum engagement and get the maximum momentum to implement any project under the sun. And our specialty is really taking things from other sectors and applying it to different sectors. So this is a tool that we actually stole from the construction sector, and we are now applying it to the human services sector. So we're kind of unique in that regard. So I will now hide the poll results, and you should see my screen again, which I see you do. Okay. So so what is pull planning? A pull planning system is a project-based production system based on key lean principles. So it's basically, it's designed from backwards forward. So you design from the end date to the present time, and that's what a pull planning system does. It's pulled tightly by the customer's requested due dates, or the deadline that you're supposed to achieve. So that's one of the key features of a pull planning system. And if you guys are interested in a video on a pull planning case study, we will send it to you via email, actually. A really cool video around the value of pull planning, and in a nutshell, as you can see here, what a pull planning session consists of is making sure everyone in the room is really engaged and involved in coming up with the project. So this picture is from one of our clients, Atlas Copco. It's sort of, we helped teach them how to do pull planning in their organization using, for the innovation group. So it's a manufacturing facility, and as you imagine, manufacturing facilities just do, manufacture parts. But sometimes clients have needs, such as, hey, can you design this cool new thing for me? And they now have to stop the production line and see how they can fit it in and when they can fit it in and stuff. And as you can see, there's a ton of people involved in making that possible. And if you were the single project manager that had to, try to wrangle a bunch of these people, it would be very, very difficult to do. So a pull planning exercise is very much about getting everybody on the same page, engaged, and moving in the same direction. So one of the key aspects of a pull plan is you see these different colored sticky notes, right? And these different colored sticky notes are really there to identify people's roles, right? So I'm going to ask a trick question, and I'm going to ask you to type that into your answer into the question window, which is always strange. I don't know why they don't call it the answer window. It should be called the answer window, really. So my question is, when you're looking at a photo, when you're looking at any photo that you may have taken, or it's on your phone or what have you, or on Facebook, what do you look for? What is the first thing you look for in a photo? So I have a question. When you're looking at a photo, just any photo, it's a picture, maybe it's a group photo and you're in it, what are you looking for in the photo? Symmetry. that could be an answer. Yeah, you could be looking for symmetry. What else are you looking for? Yes, bright colors. I like that. Yeah, bright colors is definitely something that you're looking for. Your family, really. But I'll be honest. I look for myself in my photos when I'm looking at a photo. It's just natural when you're looking through photos to try to look for you. Like, am I in it? Like, and it's just very natural to do that. And so these Post-it notes here are essentially a picture of your department, right? So the buyers know they have sort of a greenish Post-it note. The logistics people know they have a red Post-it note. R&D has a pink Post-it note. And if you look at this pull plan here, it's a very simple pull plan, actually. you can see each department now knows exactly where they fit in and what they need to do to move forward with things, right? So this is not the full answer of the pull plan, and it's not just about post-it notes, but absolutely post-it notes are very, very necessary for you to be able to see yourself in a plan and actually have conversations with your team to move forward with the plan. So I have another sort of audience engagement question. This is Derek Plano, and this is a sample pull plan that we pulled together. I have another audience engagement question, and my question is, how do you typically plan a project? Or if a project was planned for you, how was it done for you? So I've just launched a poll for you guys for audience engagement. So how do you typically plan a project? Oh, I like the results I'm seeing. Essentially all of that's perfect actually. You are the perfect audience for today's session. So most of you are saying, I'm just gonna close the poll now and share the results. All of you, 100% of you are saying, you know what, we all make our plans together. That is amazing. Your team and you make your plans together. I was a project manager for a long time, and I always made a plan and then I shared it with my team because I thought it was very tedious for me to do something together. But if you do it together, that's fantastic. And really, this is what pull planning is about. It's about engaging your team in making a plan together. That's really what pull planning is about. And if I can give you a little nudge in that direction and show you how to make it faster and easier and even better, this is what it'll make this little hour that you spent with me worthwhile. So what pull planning exercise does is it shows everybody's role in the project. It gives you a very clear view of what happens by the end. And if you notice here, there's dates. It actually gives you very clear dates of what can be done by when, because you're actually working with specifics instead of hypotheticals, because you're in the room all at the same time working on it. And it gives you a very, very happy team. So this is a large group of people. Oh, sorry, hold on. I need to stop my poll results here. Where's my poll? Hide my poll results. There we go. So you can see my happy people now. Cool. It gives you a very, very engaged team because you're forced to work together and you're forced to actually talk to each other. It's a pretty crazy concept. Forced to talk to each other and ask each other questions to get on the same page. Communication is something that is so important and yet so undervalued at the same time. So it's kind of an awesome tool. So here's a sample high-level pull plan. So what people might say, that's great, you've done a bunch of sticky notes, but can you actually translate this into a real project plan? Because really, who cares about your sticky notes? Well, let me tell you, a lot of construction projects that have saved 20% consistently care about the pull plans and the sticky notes, and it's meant to be used that way. But also, here is a sample project plan for a shift change implementation that sort of came out of a short pull plan that we pulled together for everybody over here. And these big sticky notes are sort of the major milestones, and we had to do it in a very, very tight time frame, and we easily translated it into an actual project plan, as you can see below. So a pull plan is very much designed to help you create a very good project plan with, if you notice what these things are dependencies, but having very clear dependencies. So which task is dependent on which task and what needs to be done first, second, third. So that is what a pull plan helps you do. And the key components of successful pull planning is engaging all your stakeholders, having a clear project goal or a program goal, excellent facilitation. So that's where we come in, but you may have excellent facilitators on site already. Understanding of high-level milestones. So if you go back to this picture here, we had very high-level milestones. So it's really important to have some high-level milestones. That's part of your preparation. And you need to have project roles identified and present. So you need to know who is working on the project, right? So those different colored sticky notes with the different names on it, you need to know who's working on those pieces. So if you don't remember anything, this is sort of the one screenshot of what pull planning is, and from a different role perspective, how does it work? So the process is simple. You think and document what will you do and what you need. So it's a sticky note, and as an individual, I'm just using a sticky note, and I document on one sticky note, what am I going to do and what am I going to need to do this? That's 2 questions I'm answering, 1 task per sticky note, or 1 major deliverable per sticky note. You then discuss with your team on dependencies. So if I wrote up a sticky note and I said, oh, I'm going to need to share my results of this program with my team, I'll need the decision support or the data group to give me data, right? So I would put in on the sticky note, I need data from the data group, and I would actually go to the data group because they're in the room with me, because we're doing good stakeholder engagement, and I would ask them, hey, I need data from you guys when I want to share this with my team. Can you guys create a task for yourself to give me that data? So there's very good communication that happens there. Discuss with your team the dependencies. So that's the next step, is you're discussing that with your team. Schedule the work and put it on the plan. So once you've gone to the data team, hey, could you make sure you give me the data? Yeah, I can make sure. They put it on the plan. And then at the end, because you're not going to solve all your problems, and you're still going to identify issues and risks and things like that, you will have a list of all the issues, risks, and questions that need to be addressed. So that's really what a pull plan does for you. In a nutshell, that's the process. And now I have details on the process. I want to delve into it in a little bit more detail. So there could be several iterations of a pull plan. And the plans I've shown you so far are just big picture. So they're focusing on the big chunks of work. They're focusing on the handoffs, which means, what do I need from somebody else to do what I need to do, right? They have the high level estimates and timelines developed, and they talk about the dependencies and constraints. If you were actually, if this was a major project, so we have a mine site that has a major project happening, and there's several different subcontractors working there, we would actually have sort of a room or a wall dedicated to this, and we would have iteration 2, which is the team details. So each role will have the detailed subtasks that they need. The timelines will be more tighter, like within 2 weeks, very, very clearly defined. And the individual role-based work plans will be very clearly defined as well. And then iteration 3 is looking ahead to schedule like 6 weeks out or what have you. So iteration 1 is essentially what we're just covering off today, because it is good enough to do most projects, and but pull planning, the magic of it is really keeping it alive with multiple iterations and keeping the plan alive. So these are sort of the 5 steps that you start the pull plan with. I'm not going to read them all because you're going to actually see it in the video after, but in a nutshell, you need to identify all your work, and need to understand what you need to actually complete it and move forward from there. There's some rules you have to follow. Very important rule, number 5 here. No one can move or alter another person's sticky. Yeah, you heard that. Oh, I need this thing from data. I'm just going to go create a task for data and put it up. No. You have to have a conversation with them. It's very important to actually talk to the data group to say, can you please do something about this, right? So how you would do it is you'd put up butcher paper, you'd set up the board, and butcher paper is that sheet of paper that you saw in the background. I'll sort of bring up a picture again. I think that's the brown sheet of paper there is called butcher paper. It's called butcher paper because I think butchers used to pack meat in it or something. So any roll of paper will do really at the end of the day. Identify the major milestones and put that on the board. And then it sort of starts out a little seemingly disorganized, where you invite all the roles that are going to be involved in the project to be present in the room, and start giving them a unique color sticky note. That's the first thing. That's not the disorganized part yet. So you say, yeah, they're all in the room. Everyone has their own color sticky note, right? And like I showed you before, we create a legend for which color is assigned to which team. The legend is prominently displayed. So over here, you can see the legend, and it's prominently displayed to say which color is which team. And on each sticky note, add in the task to be completed. On the left-hand bottom side, add in the handoff requirement. So if the task was, I need to share data with my team, the handoff requirement might be, I need data from the data group, and this duration to share the task with my team might be 5 minutes, and I need to do it by a particular date. So I put the duration and completion date on here. So as you can see, it's one sort of task or milestone per sticky note, and the bottom left-hand corner is where the magic actually happens. Because now, you know, typically when we assign someone a task, or you assign yourself a task, you just think about the task. You don't think about, well, what do I need to actually execute on the task, you know? So that's what's important, is the handoff requirement is very, very important. And here's the, oh, sorry, I was trying to touch my screen and make that bigger. But, you know, here's, again, a reminder of what the pull plan might end up looking like with everybody participating. You have a board available to write down constraints and common potential issues with the task. So you might not be able to fill, you know, make everything work. A good, interesting story that I had was, you know, we were just doing a pull planning session recently, and someone said, oh, it was exactly that situation actually. Oh, we need this department to collect, to share stories, to share these success stories with everybody, you know. And so they go to that department and they say, hey, can you make sure that you share success stories with everybody, because that's your role, department. And then the department, which is the communications department, says, but I kind of need the success stories from your site. So it was funny because the site that was asking for the sharing of the success stories didn't realize that they had to provide the stories from their site to communications for that to be shared further. So that was another task that they had to put in their pull plan. And that's really the type of communication that gets facilitated, right? Because often we you know, we want someone else to do something for us, and sometimes it's really us that needs to also contribute to making that happen. Another good story would be around, oh, I really think I need this to move forward with that. So I actually approach, you know, I go to this handoff requirement person and I say, hey, could you make sure you give me that, because I can't do this task without it? And the department or the person might say, yeah, you actually can. Like, you don't need what you think you need from me. So it really, really eliminates a lot of this misunderstanding and miscommunication, and it eliminates make work projects, right? So you're not making people do something that they don't really need to do. They can actually have a conversation to say, why do you think you need it, right? So it reduces a lot of waste in your process, very lean again, and it really helps you do only what you need to do at the end of the day. So if someone, again, we always say this because people love to try and move the stickies around. If someone else's sticky note needs to be moved, a discussion or conversation should occur. That's very, very important. So sometimes a planning wall can look as messy as this. It's not always perfect, but you know, you can, it works out in the end. It really makes sense to everybody in the room. And once all sticky notes are on the board, each role talks about their tasks out loud and identifies dependencies and constraints, and a discussion occurs. So putting the stickies up is one thing, and then the facilitator really helps you look at everything backwards forward. So walking through the whole project And then the different roles then have the option of detailing out their tasks in the time frame provided. So then if you have your team there already, maybe you can like create detail level work plans for your team. So the typical results and why bother doing pull plans really is a consistent savings of 15 to 20%. And you know, if it saves 15 to 20% in construction projects, you can only imagine what it would save you in other sort of process related projects. Workflow becomes more reliable. So this is actually a way to processize project work, which almost never happens. The waste of waiting over production and inventory are reduced. So sometimes you really don't need a lot of materials on hand if it's a building type project. And setting clear expectations and timelines, and it helps you predict delays ahead of time. Because you can imagine that, you know, like weather delays and things like that are so huge as well, but it helps you plan ahead for any kind of delays and you know, proactively communicate with your stakeholders. So really at the end of the day, that's where we, like, you know, that's the short version of what a pull planning session is like. This webinar and video will be available online, so we're happy to sort of answer any questions that come up now. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions. But that's sort of the, in a nutshell, how you might actually benefit and use pull planning. And I think my email should be coming up towards the end. Oh, and just so, I don't know if there's any private sector folks on the webinar right now, but there is actually funding available for any kind of training, and we're one of those providers that are qualified to do this is through Canada Ontario Job Grant. That's $10,000 per employee in training costs, not just in Ontario, but in many other provinces as well. Every province has their own version of it. So if you are a private sector client, so not typically public sector is not covered, you know, definitely look into it to get that. And for the nonprofits, we have sort of a funding that helps you amortize the cost over time so that you don't have to incur huge costs, you know, one time, so on and so forth. Again, our upcoming training session is Lean Greenbelt, which is happening May 9th and 10th in Sudbury. And our next webinar, I love this picture of Dan. He looks so serious. I promise you, he's not as serious as he looks in that picture. But it's with Dan Draper. He's our Greenbelt coach. And again, it's a free webinar. It's happening Thursday, May 17th. He's going to be talking to you about going to the Gemba, which is the actual workplace, and how you can actually do a workplace walk when you're at the Gemba. So that's happening, when is it? May 17th at 10:30 a.m. actually. And here's my email and contact information for the office. If you need to contact me, feel free. Just drop me a line, and I would love to hear further from you. We try to keep these webinar series nice and sweet and short. Feel free to, as we're going through, to ask any questions that might be coming up, and so on and so forth. But we really appreciate your time for showing up, and have a great day, everybody. Take care. Have a good one.